Welcome to Healthy Leagues, the one-stop podcast that bridges the gap between small to mid-sized businesses and digital marketing. In this interconnected age of the internet and artificial intelligence, if you are looking to increase your online lead flow and close deals, or just someone interested in the fusion of business growth and digital marketing, this podcast is your avenue for success. Now let's get to our host, Brian Atkinson.
Welcome, everyone, to the Healthy Leads podcast brought to you by Ellington Digital. Today, we are going to talk to you about how you can set up conversion tracking and why it's so important to track this metric. Angel, great to have you back. It's been about a month. And can you kind of share a little bit with us why it's been a month? You have some super exciting news everybody should know about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm definitely glad to be back. The reason why I was out was due to the fact that my wife gave birth to twins, my twins. So so I had kids and I just needed, of course, some time off because they're a handful. Definitely 2 at a time was a lot crazier than I expected it would be.
Yeah, and you celebrated your first Thanksgiving with them. How special was that moment to have your first holiday with them?
Absolutely, yeah. It was the whole family. So it was me and my wife, the twins, my father-in-law and mother-in-law. So yeah, it was really awesome. So like I actually even made a dish from like my culture. So I'm half black and half Puerto Rican. So I made a dish called mofongo for all my Puerto Ricans that know. I failed a little bit. It was a little bit dry, but I tried my best. And now it was amazing. I really just ate food and just went to sleep, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a good Thanksgiving and a good memory to have. And yeah, it is awesome to have you back. So congratulations, one, on the news. But yeah, we are excited to have you back on the show.
100% appreciate it.
And let's talk a little bit more about news that came out today, because Sports Illustrated writers are kind of under some pressure. Sports Illustrated as a whole is under some pressure right now because a report came out that Sports Illustrated is using AI generated articles. And they're also publishing under like fake names, people that don't even exist, like these AI generated avatars. So I'm curious, are you pro or con against having these huge publishers use AI driven content?
I think anyone that's not using AI, it's actually kind of foolish to me because it's taking over such a large market and it's going to be here. I feel it's going to be here to stay. There's no way that you can see this. What is it? The Pandora's box kind of analogy. You already opened up the box. You ain't closing that thing again. So like we already opened up the box to AI. We would be foolish to not utilize it. Now, do I think, because I think you mentioned that they're like lying about it, right?
Yeah, there was a report that came out and like they denied the allegations, but there's a report here, they showed like screenshots of stuff like this. It's clearly AI. Like,
yeah. So if in a situation like that, like I'm always going to be honest. If anyone asks me, hey, did you use AI for this? I'm going to say 100%. I'm taking pride in the fact that like I tried to use the best, like I try to become an engineer prompt with it. Like I really take it very far with AI. So like I don't just go into ChatGPT and try to be lazy and just type up something. I try to go very far and learn about prompt engineering because there's people getting paid. I've seen like $200,000 just to be a prompt engineer. So I'm totally for it, but I'm curious. What are your opinions?
Yeah, I'm a little bit like, I definitely see like why you should, but like it's such a large publication. Like Sports Illustrated, I think it's probably one of the most read like magazines out there. And it does just kind of put the thought in my mind of like what if like a Forbes went out or like an Entrepreneur, like Business Insider were just creating like AI generated articles? It would just make me less intrigued to like read it, because are they an industry expert? Yes, like they have all this modules in it, but like are they really like an industry expert compared to someone that's like actually interviewed like an Elon Musk, or for example? So I can see.
So I would say you feel like the main problem is more like the original content, because I kind of feel that same way. Like, oh, if there is a person that's only using like if the majority of their stuff is just AI generated, you do have a point where like our mind subconsciously probably goes, this probably isn't that much of an expert as I thought he was. So I mean, there is I feel like there should probably be a balance then. Like if all the articles, like if you know that Sports Illustrated has number one a podcast, and then they have like in-person events and all this other stuff going on, and then like 20% of their content is some blogs, I mean, like it's just like, all right, like I still see them as the number one in terms of I mean, I'm not a big Sports Illustrated person, but I still see them as probably like, oh, like my first thought to mind would be either ESPN, Sports Illustrated, like all these other networks. So I still see them in the top only, and I know now that they use AI, so I would still see them in that light as an expert.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. I think it's just interesting to see like these large applications utilizing AI, and I think it comes down to like what you said, like that prompt engineering. Like people that are in tune with like ChatGPT and what it writes, like you can sniff out like an AI generated article like pretty
Immediately.
easily.
Immediately.
It's using that prompt engineering that you're talking about to like actually create and put together something that doesn't seem so AI driven. But if you're just putting in a simple prompt, anybody's going to be able to sniff that out. And I feel like that's kind of how this report came out.
Yeah. So like if they're being lazy with it, or if anyone's being really lazy with ChatGPT, then it's like now you're at the point where you're doing yourself a disservice because people are going to smell it out. And I 100% do agree. Like if I could really smell it, like if I feel like you were lazy, at least if I could tell that you were using ChatGPT, I'll still be like, okay. But if I feel like you were being lazy with it, that just adds like a fire. That just adds like, oh man, like you were just lazy with it. I don't even really want to read this anymore. So I 100% agree.
Yeah, I think that's where the fine line is for me is like you can use ChatGPT to create articles, but do not be lazy with it. Like if you're using it to create something awesome, like definitely go for it. I think that's a great tool. But if you're just plugging in, create an article based on the top 10 sports moments ever, yeah, that's a no for me because you're going to be able to send that out. Yeah, that is
100%.
not a good article.
Yeah, that is super lazy. Like,
but let's talk a little bit more about conversion tracking today. I'm super excited to talk about that, but let's first like define what conversion rate is. Conversion rate is how we're going to use it. We can twist this up a little bit too, but like it's basically in simplest terms is the percentage of visitors to a website who can complete a desired action. So if you're in e-commerce, it could be buying something. If you're in healthcare, it could be doing a demo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm curious a little bit more about like how you have used conversion tracking, like with your own experience, because it's obviously industries vary here, but it's obviously a huge metric that companies use to track their success. So yeah, how have you? Awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about conversion tracking today. That's what this podcast is going to be about: conversion tracking and conversion rates. And so let's first define conversion rates and how we're going to use it. And so what we say is it is the percentage of visitors to a website who complete a desired action. If you're in e-commerce, doing a purchase. If you're a healthcare company, maybe completing a demo or requesting a demo. But yeah, is that similar, Angel? Is that how you would define conversion rates as well?
Yeah, it's literally the amount of people that visited the website, or I mean, there's even a conversion rate. You can do it in terms of like store visits, how many people went into your store versus how many purchased. It's just a rate of which people see something that you're offering or your whatever your service is, and the amount of people that actually buy from you. So broken down very simply, just like that.
Very simply. So if you have 5 people that come to your website, or if you have 100 people come to your website, 5 of them convert, you have a 5% conversion rate. And you may be thinking that is very low, but I actually pulled up some statistics here. And I want to ask you, Angel, we have the doc here. What would you say the average conversion rate is? Surprisingly low for me when I found this.
You would definitely be surprised because in your mind, you're going to think like, oh man, like I want to get 50% of the people, that come to my website. And you would think that would be the case, but it's really not. And so to answer your question first, the average conversion rate is usually going to be around 3%. That's what I've always seen as like across the industry, right? But it's even lower if you're like in e-commerce, for example. So that's something to note. Like, but the biggest reason why people think it's so low and they don't even like think about this actual fact is the fact that it's most of the time it's cold traffic. So it's people that I haven't even interacted with the business. Most of these metrics and most of those the stats that you're pulling up, they're probably from cold traffic. Like the average rate at which people who don't know your business, aren't familiar with anything you offer, they just see your website. They may go and they just try to, they're like, oh, I see something cool, I'm going to go shop around, So the main reason why it's really low is that it's cold traffic. Because if you try to run like a retargeting campaign or you try to run a campaign to people that are already customers of yours, you're going to see a whole lot higher of a conversion rate.
I think it's super interesting. Like I would love to see what like in Amazon's what their conversion rate is.
It's ridiculous. It's like 30%.
It's 30. You think probably
it's around like 30%.
Yeah, and like with the whole like we just had Cyber Monday, like yesterday, Black Friday last week. Like I feel like conversion rates. Do you think they fluctuate a lot during Black Friday, or like yeah? I'm curious. Like, what's your experience with that? Or what do you?
So around Black Friday, like you're gonna see a lot more people start purchasing because there's a distinct mindset between somebody that's shopping and that's ready to buy. Right?
Yeah.
Like someone can just be looking around. Oh, like I'm just casually looking at this product, right? Like this mouse right here. I'm just casually looking for a mouse. Like I wanted to get an ergonomical mouse the other day, right? I've been shopping around for an ergonomical mouse. I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet, right? Like I just know that it's not the time yet. So around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, those people that have been thinking about things for months and months and months, it's always now is the time that they're going to be like, I'm ready to buy. Like they're in that mindset where they're like, I'm ready to go. Like the deal is here. I'm ready. Here, take my credit card. So like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you're definitely going to see a lot higher conversion rate. I mean, it's quarter 4 in general. Like usually this is the time when people see like the biggest amount of revenue.
Yep. And I think that like hits on it perfectly because like I've been wanting to get a new Yeti like water bottle thing. This thing is like so busted. Like you can
And
like see
this
cracks in
is
it.
Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. Like I got it from Target for like $10. It's lasted me a while. It's like broken now.
Yeah.
But to that exact point though, like I've been doing research, like, oh, what do I want to buy? But like, I was like, oh, like I'm just not ready to buy. But yesterday there just so happened to be a deal. Hopped on Amazon and bought a new water bottle. So I think that really speaks to it. But I also think it's a challenge too, because like I knew I wanted like a new jacket, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted. So I just kept searching and searching, going on all these pages, like, oh, they don't have what I want, they don't have what I want, they don't have what I want. But I agree with you. I think the overwhelming majority, I think the conversion rates just skyrocket during Black Friday, and the reasons you spoke about.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that it even segues perfectly into like you see how we were talking about it took us quite a long time to even come to this decision of a purchase.
Yeah.
It literally it segues perfectly into why people should be tracking their conversion.
Yeah.
and the honest truth is you're actually not even going to be able to track all your conversions. Like unfortunately, there's such a crazy conversion path that people are taking nowadays that we're no longer in the days when, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Gary Vaynerchuk's story. Like he's the most famous person. That's why I'm just gonna use him as an example. He originally got started running his father's wine store online, and he used Google Ads. Back then, it was called AdWords, right? And he would run like 5-cent clicks to his father's store, and I bet you the conversion rate it was a lot higher back then because people weren't as desensitized to ads. But he was running like 5-cent clicks and just exploded the business. I think it was like doing 1 million to like 6 million or something like that. Like it was a ridiculous amount. But we're now in the age when it's not going to be that one click to the wine store anymore. Like if he were to try to run that same exact campaign, that's not happening. I'm sorry to tell you, it's not happening. So the reason why we need to use conversion tracking is because we want to, number one, make informed decisions. You cannot just, if you're spending money on a campaign, you can't just you're going to be literally just, driving blind. Like, you don't know where you're going and you don't know what decision to make because it's not informed by any data. It's not backed by anything. It's just your assumptions, right? Yep. That's the biggest point. Number one, to make data-informed decisions for yourself. And then number two, it's the fact that people are using literally one of the biggest algorithmic learning machines on the planet, Google. Like, especially if you're running your ads on Google. This applies to all platforms in general because most of them are algorithmic learning, right? But Google is one of the biggest ones. It has a ginormous library of information on us that we voluntarily give, right? We never read the terms. We never read the terms and conditions. So we voluntarily give our data over. And so they use the conversion data that you give them and they go and find that person. So if you know that on your store, right, you had 5 purchases and it took you, let's say, $100 initially just to get those 5 purchases, right? And this is cold traffic. This is the first time you set up your campaign. It took you $100 just to get 5 purchases. You shouldn't worry and you should keep going, which is why I always say, do not even get into this if you don't have the runway for like 6 months, 3 months, don't even bother getting into paid ads because it's going to crush you, you know? But if you get those 5 purchases, Google's now going to see those 5 purchases and go, okay, I'm going to go find 5 people similar to who just purchased. And they're going to go out and go try to find it. Now your campaign is more efficient in the future. And now instead of paying $100 for 5 purchases, you may just have to pay $50.
Yeah.
You see, so it was like a learning algorithm. So like those are the 2 main reasons people need to be tracking their conversions.
That's super interesting. So Google's going to be able to, just to kind of clarify that, because I did not know this. You are literally a wizard at Google. Just to like clarify that. So Google's going to be able to say like, oh, these 5 people converted. Let's find 5 people that are similar to those 5 and like really target them. And that's why you need that for 6 months, 3 to 6 months.
100%. And then it gets more intricate. Like there, you can go down really, like we only have a few minutes on here, but I'll try to I'll go more high level, right? But you can really get down into the weeds where we start talking about things such as like attribution, right? Like I was saying, like what could be attributed to what? So like if you have 5 campaigns running, one may be on display, the other one may be on YouTube, then another one may be on search, right? How do you know where the conversion got attributed to, right? Because right now, unfortunately, like I said, you can't track all the conversions. And right now, YouTube is I don't know why, but Google is just not good at attributing conversions to YouTube. So like you may be running a campaign on YouTube spending, I've seen, campaigns that run $10,000 a month spending on YouTube. You go into the Google Ads account it may show up 5 conversions for a cost per conversion of like 1,500, right?
Yeah.
Like it may just be like a ridiculous. And on the outside, you're going to be like, dang, like $1,500 for a conversion. But then if you look on the back end of your business, which is why it's important to match up what's actually going on in the business and then what's actually what you're spending your money on. So then you may look and be like, hey, you know, we're only really running YouTube ads as like our main traffic source. We have a couple search ads and those aren't getting attributed conversions. But man, on our back end, we just got 50, 100 leads this week. And that's because there's such a long cycle. I may be watching somebody's content for 3 months and then for, you know, a month later, I may convert, you know, and it's hard to track that entire cycle. So you could get real deep into the weeds with it.
I was going to say, I feel like, and it is so important to like know that attribution reporting, because that's like essentially how you determine like where you should put your focus at or where you should be allocating budget towards. Should it be towards display, any of these different ideas? But I'm curious, what would you say as the companies like you've worked with, like just so people can maybe be humbled here, maybe be hyped up here, like out of scale like 1 to 10, like how good do you think companies conversions tracking are that you've just experienced, that you walked through?
I swear, man, it blows my mind. It literally blows my mind every time I see it, and it feels like it hurts the heart. I mean, it hurts the heart, but at the same time, it's like, man, there's so much opportunity. I can't wait to dive in to this account. But literally, I kid you not, 50% of the accounts that I've done audits on, no conversion tracking, literally zero. Like no conversion tracking at all.
Interesting. And so like some of these companies that you've worked with, like what are typically conversions that they're looking for here? I spoke a little bit about like the e-commerce before. It might be purchasing something, requesting a demo, but like what are some common things that people should be tracking conversions for?
Yeah. 100%. So we all know that, I mean, in the e-commerce world, right, it's known that email is probably going to be one of your biggest drivers aside from, you know, the paid media. So like, for example, are you tracking the amount of people that subscribe to your newsletter, right? Like, you know, how many times do we go on a website and then a little pop-up comes up, hey, do you want to subscribe for 10% off?
Yeah.
I always do it. I'm not going to lie to you. I want that 10% off. So there's a lot of people that do that. So, and that is considered a form fill, right? So that's a conversion in itself. Now for service-based businesses, usually it comes down to 2 things, which is either a call directly to the business or it's going to be a lead form fill. It's usually those 2 with service-based businesses or literally anything that's not e-commerce comes down to those forms. So those are the most common that I've seen. Of course, you can have, the person, I mean, honestly, it all comes down to the form because you can have a lead magnet where it's like, download our checklist on how to do whatever, right? You know, just have a lead magnet. It's going to be a form. You just put your email, your name, click download, and now you have that person's contact information. So it usually always comes down to those 2 things, call or form fill.
Yeah. And I feel like a form fill is like, it's hard. In my experience, like the best forms that I've done that I've worked on in the past is basically our lead magnet was like, hey, like get a free video, like $1,500 plus value on this. And it converts so well because we had that huge lead magnet right there. Like we quantify that lead magnet. And our form fill was like just enter an email. So it was such a low friction point where we got so many calls. But the balance with that is some of the calls like kind of sucked because like I'm getting like Gmails. I'm getting people that like don't have a budget at all to go past the free video. So it's a little hard. But form fills, if we wanted to balance that, we included like, you need to do the company name just to add a little bit more friction there.
Yeah. And this goes into something that people don't realize. Like I've always, and I'm going to be 100% honest, I've always been a proponent of reducing the conversion friction, right? So like, as you said, like having just the email, like I was running campaigns not even that long ago just to test it out. Okay, like how's the landscape of doing this now? But just running an email for a lead magnet, right? And this would just be like a lead magnet. So nothing like a serious quantifiable thing. Like I just want to get them in the door. So that could really work, right? If it's like a lead magnet, hey, it may not even be the free one. Like it should probably be, if you're going to do something like that, it should probably be more associated with something that's evergreen. So a free video is something you have to put your time and your money and your effort and your resources into, right? But let's say you had how to structure your first TikTok video for a high converting ad or something right? Like just a guide or something, or literally just a 10-minute course, right? That's evergreen. You don't ever have to edit it. you can just give it out. And no matter if the person is bad or not, you're still going to get people that are downloading it, right? Now it goes into the fact of like, let's say you want the person that, for example, right? We work with a dance studio. Okay. And they're not just any dance studio, right? It's a very particular client. I'm not going to say the name because I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but they're looking for a very, very particular client, right? This is like 50 and up. They're usually 50 and up. They're very, very wealthy, and their dance packages start at like $5,000, right? Yeah. Now, I as you can probably think, it takes a certain type of person to convert for $5,000, right?
For sure.
But the lead magnet is one free private dance lesson.
Yep.
Now, hey, who wouldn't take that? You know what I mean? I'm taking it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm not your customer. I can tell you, I ain't spending no $5,000 on a dance package. But so in that case, we should be there should be way more form fills, because as I said before, Google Ads is a learning algorithm. So it's going to learn based on the people that converted on that form, right? And so if you add more forms when you know that, hey, I'm having a lead quality issue, it's going to be a lot harder for those people are going to qualify themselves. And you can even do conditional things. So like, this is me talking about Facebook, right? On Facebook lead ads, there was just a recent update. I don't know how long ago, but you now have conditional form fields. So you can fill out the form. And what that means is that instead of just going to a thank you page that's just standard to every person that answers the questions, you can have a specific thank you page based on how the person answered the question.
Wow.
So like, let's say in the example of like your video, you could put, how much is your budget for a video, right?
Exactly.
The person may put, right, oh, I'm only going to spend $100, right? And you go, thank you for your input. Here's a lead magnet, you know what I'm saying? for an evergreen lead magnet. But let's say that person goes, my budget is $5,000 and I'm ready. And how sooner? And then the next question would be, how soon are you looking to get this video up? I need this up in 2 weeks. Boom.
Yeah.
Now, instead of sending them to a dang lead magnet, you're going to send them directly, hey, book this page to immediately talk with me. And if we don't contact you back in the next 5 minutes, a free $5 Starbucks gift card. That's a good way to get your show up rate, So that's a little tip right there. In your speed to lead, say, if we don't contact you fast enough in 5 minutes, free $5 Starbucks gift card. So like you can do a lot of interesting things and add those form fills to get more of a quality lead.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing. So we want to put like what's your budget for like video in 2024, for example, because 2024 is a month away. So like budget, like what's your job title, like just get their buying power and whatnot. But we want to make it a little bit more friction than just enter an email to get a free video and like have a conversation, see if we're a fit. We want to really narrow it down, and our leads might go down. Our leads, of course, are going to go down, but the lead quality is going to go way up. So
exactly,
really to have a balance like that. So we'll definitely have to report on that and how that can track.
Absolutely. And you know what the benefit is too? Like most people, there's always that battle. I think we had an episode behind this. There's a battle between marketing and sales. Oh, the leads are bad. Oh, you're not closing the leads well. Well, how about this? As a marketer, I'm just going to take the initiative and try to get the sales team the absolute best leads as possible, to the point where all they have to do is just call it up and just, like, for example, for a senior living facility, if I start adding all those forms, like I'm looking to move in 9 months, my budget is $5,000. I'm looking for this food plan. I have these allergies, and obviously it gets to a point where you're going to put too many form fields, but add a good amount. If you're telling me that the sales team can't close this lead that has given us all this information, it's not a problem with marketing. It's a problem with sales.
For sure.
So, yeah.
It is such a balance. And I have so many ideas running that like what I want to be doing now. So thank you for that mental exercise that you just now put me through. But we want to go through something super important that we want to hit on here. And I think you're going to share your screen here on how you can set conversion tracking through Google Ads. So if you guys are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, go over to YouTube. This will be here too. If you're on YouTube, stay, because Angel's going to share a little bit more, actually show you how to set up conversion tracking. So if you want to take it away.
Yeah. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to go beyond just setting up conversion tracking, right? So there's normal conversion tracking. And like I said, most people are going to track lead form fills. But if you remember what I said before, Google is optimizing their campaigns, whatever campaign you're running, based on the information that you give them. So your campaign is only going to be as good as the data that you give it, right? I'll repeat that one more time so people can understand the premise of where I'm going. Your campaign will only be as good as the data that you give it, right? So instead of tracking lead forms where you know that person A may come in and he may be bad quality, person B came in, he was all right quality, but then person C came in and he was stellar. We want more people. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how to set up a conversion based on who you want. And this is through offline conversion tracking. And this is really only for not e-commerce, but lead generation. So if you generate leads and that's your main source of how you close deals, you need to definitely pay attention, right? So I'm just going to share my screen. 100%. I'm going to share my screen. So in Google Ads, this is just a dummy account that I just set up real quick for the sake of this. And let's just go to actually the home. So usually when you log in, you're going to be prompted with this screen. It's going to have overview. You'll probably have your campaigns and everything, right? But you're going to want to go over to tools and settings, right? this is where your conversion actions are actually hosted. So I have none right here at the moment, obviously. Like I said, it's a dummy account. So you're just going to hit, usually when you set a conversion up, it's going to be like a little table. And in the right corner, or right top section right over here, there'll be new conversion action. It's going to be like a little plus button. You're just going to hit that if you've already set up conversion tracking. If you haven't, then it's going to look like this. So for the offline conversions, this is going to take a little bit of not too much manual labor, but it's going to take some work on your part, right? So first thing that you need to be doing before you even start this is you need to have a CRM. Again, you need to have a CRM. I don't know why companies think they're just going to get away without having a CRM. It just blows my mind. I don't know why they don't track the amount of sales, like the people that are coming in and where they are in the deal value. Like, it just confuses me why they don't have a CRM. But you need to have a CRM. Okay. I personally recommend Go High Level. That's the one I've been using. HubSpot is also good as well. Haven't used Salesforce, but all the other ones, just have a CRM in general, because what you need is the G-CLID, right? And this is going to be a little piece of code that's going to be added to the URL for when a person clicks on your ad. And actually, I'm getting ahead of myself, because before you even set up any of this, right, in your campaign settings, so in your campaign settings, right, if you click on a campaign right here, you're going to click on your campaign and you're going to head down. There's going to be the settings button right here. You're going to go to your account settings and you're going to make sure that auto tagging is enabled. Okay, because auto tagging is going to be the information that has your G-CLID ID. So you can see right here, it automatically adds a parameter, messing up the word, whatever, to your URL to help you track offline conversions, right? It says it right there. So you're just going to make sure that this is checked, and you're going to make sure that you save that, right? And then once you do that, now you have the current steps. So like I said, you have to have the CRM, and you have to make sure that your CRM is going to take that G-CLID. You can talk to your web developer to make sure that's all set up. They'll know what to do. Right, just make sure that they know, or whoever's managing the CRM, just make sure that the G-CLID ID that's coming from the ads as a source is being imported into the CRM, right? So once you have all that set up, right, your auto tagging in your CRM and the G-CLID is importing into your CRM, you're going to go to that new conversions. You're going to go to import, and you have a couple options. Usually it's best practice. I do recommend this, right? Having multiple ways to kind of track where your conversions are coming from, and have multiple ways to track, okay, is my Google Ads reporting correctly? Because usually you're going to see differences between Google Analytics and your Google Ads in terms of reporting and attribution. So I prefer not to rely on importing the Google Analytics, but there's a bunch of options for you if you run apps. I've never particularly run an app campaign in general, just mostly lead generation and e-commerce. So I can't really speak too much on this, but you have right here an automatic way, right? It used to, you can just literally select whatever CRM you're using. If you're using Google Sheets, which is going to be the example that I'm going to show, Google My Business, you have all these options, right? That you can automatically import it without doing too much work. All you have to do is just follow the instructions that it gives you, and you'll be all set up. So, but I'm going to show one of the manual ways, right? And I think I'm going to show the manual way because it's going to be most applicable to everyone, right? Most people, they may not have Zapier, which is what, like, for example, like you're going to see that I'm going to use Google Sheets, but for Google Sheets in this section, you have to use the Zapier link. So, this example that I'm showing is most applicable to everyone. All right, so you're going to hit the manual import using API or uploads. And this is going to require you to upload a list, right? So you're going to hit track conversions from clicks. You can track conversions from calls as well, but you do need to have a software that is able to import the G-CLID ID, right? Like, everything is going to be dependent on this G-CLID ID. You need to make sure you have the G-CLID ID, because if you don't, you'll never know who the conversion is attributed to, right? It's very important. And I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Go High Level also has the call tracking enabled, which allows for G-CLID ID. But so you're going to hit the track conversions from clicks, hit continue, and you're just going to use a, what's it called here? So you're just going to make sure that the category is correct. There's been kind of speculations whether it really matters. Personally, I think it does. So like, if a person not only, like, let's say they, for example, purchase something from your business, I think it's very important to tell Google, like, hey, this is a purchase, right? So I prefer to just use purchase. Then make sure that you have a name that's actually, it's really clearly defining what the conversion is. And the reason why is because the way I like to do my reporting, right, is sometimes I'll have the conversion action segmented out. So if you have, an unclear conversion name, you're not going to know what it really means in your reports. So it's just a good rule of thumb to just make sure that there's a clear name. So like, let's say for this example, this is just a setup. So I'm going to put purchased a desk, purchased a desk in store, right? And I'm typing with one hand, so my apologies for going slow. Purchase a desk in store, right? And you're going to make sure that you use a value for each of these conversions. And the reason why, right? Most conversion tracking on lead generation doesn't have a value, which is not that good, right? We want to know how much revenue is coming from each person, right? We want to optimize for the person that may purchase a $5,000 desk compared to, like $100 desk or something, right? So you're gonna have to enter a value, but enter a value that won't throw off your data too much. So if you know that, okay, the average order value or the average thing that someone purchases is like $100, you just put in $100, right? And then you're gonna make sure that you count every single one. Okay, that's very important. Every single one. You're gonna leave it as 90 days for your conversion window. And for attribution, if you don't know what this is, just leave it. It's just just leave it. If you don't know what attribution is, don't bother messing with it. Just leave it as data driven and you'll be all good. I'm gonna hit create and continue. Now, once you do that, I haven't messed around too much with the enhanced conversions. So for this example, I would just leave it off for right now, but just continue forward, right? And then this right here is your conversion. So this is going to show up right here. And so now this is the most important part where we're actually going to be importing the leads. So in your CRM, like I mentioned, each person that was a lead that comes in is going to have the GCLID ID. It's going to have all the information that was from your form, right? And so you need to go to uploads and you're going to go to new upload, select source, and you're going to go to Google Sheet. Now you can link to an existing sheet, right? And so for this example, all right, I can't do that right now, but for this example, right, so you're just going to hit Google Sheet and you're going to click on an existing sheet. So in this sheet, you'll use this template, right? So you just go to Google Sheets and you're going to be using this. So just click on that. This will give you the template. And this is exactly the forms that you need to fill out. And so once you get this created, you're just going to link it over to this. So the Google Click ID, like I said, in your CRM, it's probably going to be a number such as, this is literally just going to look exactly like it's just going to be a string of numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just going to be a string of numbers. The conversion name, make sure that the conversion name is the exact same as what you labeled it as in Google Ads. And talking down to the case, it's case sensitive. So if you don't have it labeled correctly, it's not going to attribute it properly within the reporting. So you're going to make sure you do that. Conversion time, you have to put it in a specific format that I actually have here. And we can link all this stuff in the show notes. There's literally a whole entire support document if my instructions are not clear enough. So there's an entire support document for you guys to follow. But right here is the format for what you need to put your timestamp as. And so once you have that implemented there, you just put that there. And then you have your conversion value. So let's say it was a $5,000 sale. Boom, you just put that in as 5,000. And then your currency, of course, we're in the United States, so it's just USD. And then as soon as you do that, you literally just, like I mentioned, you link this to that Google Sheet. So I don't know why it's not giving me the permission to do it, but for the sake of the example, you're just going to click it and you'll have one pop up. You'll just click that one that popped up. And then from there, you're literally all set to go. So, and then you're going to literally be optimizing rather than for a lead form, you're going to be optimizing for someone that actually made the physical purchase, which is what you want. So over time, in like a year, like it may take some time depending on your budget, right? Because your budget let's say you're starting out with 1,000. You're not going to have a lot of conversion data to go off of, right?
Yeah.
You're just not going to have a lot of conversion data to go off of. So it's going to be important that you're tracking everything, number one. And then number two, have a proper budget that you know that, hey, or have a proper expectation for the budget. So if you know that, all right, I'm not seeing the results I want in 3 months, but you're spending $500, it's like, and you know that your average cost per acquisition is going to be around that $100 mark. It's like, all right, you're going to have to wait a while to get that amount of data that's going to be sufficient for Google to make the optimization. So just be aware of that. But it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, we're going to attach the support document for Google. So you can just follow that directly if my instructions were not clear enough.
Wait, I was doing this off to the side. I was trying to follow along with you, so I'll have to actually watch that because we were kind of flying through. But that's super helpful, and it's obviously just so important to do, and not enough people do. As you said, 50%. I feel like you're generous on that too. Have that set up. So that's a good tidbit to add there.
100%.
But yeah, Angel, thank you so much, everyone. We learned a lot in this talking about conversion tracking, and Angel actually showed us the exact how-to on how to do that. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in today. Angel, great to have you back. I love hosting this podcast with you. So,
absolutely, same.